My friends are all too lazy to read a rulebook or even to play a game tutorial, so I've made this video to explain the rules to Scythe Digital Edition. Now, last time I did a video for Steam, this is a far more complicated game than Steam. So let me just briefly overview what you can see on the screen first of all, then we'll get into the details of what it all means. So at the top you'll see 6 blank stars, so you can earn 6 stars in the game. Next to that are your resources. The first symbol is coins, the heart is popularity, the shield with the wings is power, the bar is metal, the logs are wood, the canister is oil, and the food pouch is food. In the middle of the screen you can see the game board. So the game board is divided up into hexagons. You can see that at the top of each hexagon is a little symbol which tells you what that hexagon is. So this here, for example, is a farm, this is a forest, this here is a village, and that there is a lake. All of these will tell you what those tiles can produce. So naturally a forest would produce wood. I'll explain that a bit more in a second. Some of the tiles also have symbols at the bottom. So this one here is a tunnel. This one here is an encounter. I will come back to that in far more detail in a little while. And in the very middle is the factory, which again I shall come back to that later. For your side, you have 3 types of unit. The first is your character that starts on your home base. The other little men are workers. You'll start with 2 of them at the beginning of the game, and then as the game progresses you'll be able to build mechs, which again I will come back to in a lot more detail in a moment. The aim of the game is to have the most coins at the end of it. Now there are 4 different aspects to counting up your coins. The first is your coin count at the top. That sort of enters the base level. However, you also earn coins for the number of stars that you've earned. I'll explain that in a moment. The number of territories you control, that's the number of hexagons that you have on the board. The number of every 2 resources is coins. And then at the end there, the number of structures that you have built. So at the end of the game, all of those will be totaled up, and that will be totaled up at the end of the game. That also then is multiplied by your popularity. So here you can see everybody's popularity track along the top. The red heart there, for example, is on 3, all the others are on 2. Once you get to 7, you'll get another level of you'll get level 2 popularity, and then you can see that the stars will then earn you 4 coins, the territories will earn you 3 coins, the resources will earn you 2 coins. So the higher your popularity level, the more you will earn at the end of the game for each of those 3 things. This little screen here is really useful because it shows you who's winning, what level everybody's at, how many of everything they've earned. How do you get stars? Well, there are multiple ways of scoring stars here, but you can only have a maximum of 6 stars total. So these are the different ways. 6 upgrades from left to right. 6 upgrades, all 4 mechs on the board, all 4 structures built, all 4 enlistments unlocked, all 8 workers on the board, 1 of your 2 secret objectives completed, a 1 battle, and you can earn that one twice, 18 popularity, or 16 power. So you can do any of those, but only 6 of them can be earned by you in total. So if you get to a 7th star, it won't count. And as we said, each star will earn you coins at the end of the game, and the first person to earn 6 stars immediately ends the game. Now that doesn't mean that the person who unlocks 6 stars is going to win, because if somebody's going to earn more coins than you, then you wouldn't want to open up the 6th star. The best way to check that is this page here, the 4th button along from the top. That will tell you where everybody is. So you can do a quick calculation. If I earn another star, that's going to give me X amount of extra coins. Will that take me up to the top of the list? So then, how do you actually play the game? Well, everybody will have a player mat, which is at the bottom. On the player mat are your actions. Everybody has the same actions, but they are not necessarily in the same order, and they do not necessarily cost the same amount. Actions are played in this way. You can do one action from the top row, and then you can play the matching action from the bottom row. So if I play the furthest left one there, for example, with the 2 little men, that means I can play the cogs underneath, the upgrade. If I play that this round, I then have to pick from a different column on a following round. One of the nations allows you to do the same one twice, but for most nations you'll be able to do it only once per every 2 rounds. So let's talk you through what all of these symbols mean. The symbol in the top left corner of all of them is the cost. So for a lot of the top row there's a 1 coin cost. The exception is the production one, this one at the end here. That one isn't costing men, that's how many men you have available to build. Then some of the actions along the bottom show you coins in the bottom right corner. That's how many coins you will earn for doing that action. So for example, the mech there will give you 3 coins if you perform that action. So let's talk you through each of the actions. The first one is move. So I can move 2 units. Now, moving with a mech can pick up workers. So you could put all your workers in a mech and move them one space, and then move one of the workers another space. The second action is gain a coin. The third action here will cost me a coin, but I can gain 2 power. The fourth action, pay 1 coin to gain 1 combat card. I'll come back to combat cards. The fifth action here, pay 1 coin, gain any 2 resources. So it doesn't matter what the hex is, I will put any 2 resources on that hex. So just because this one here, for example, is a hex that produces oil, that doesn't mean that I can only put oil on that space. It means I can put any resource. I could put wood on those two wood on that oil space. The sixth symbol, pay 1 coin to gain 1 popularity. Remember I said earlier, popularity will multiply your coins at the end of the game. And then production. So you can produce goods on 2 workers. So each worker on the territory produces 1 good. So for example here, if I did production, I could earn 1 steel and 1 oil. If I had 2 workers on the steel and 1 on the oil, I'd get 2 steel and 1 oil. It's produced per territory. So the number of workers on the territory will produce that many of that particular resource. Bottom row actions. Upgrade. Pay 2 oil. So I'd have to have 2 oil, and I'd gain 1 coin. And then I can increase the benefit and decrease the cost. So increase the benefit. You can see along the top row of actions, some of them have got a shaded out bit. So for example, the move has 2 stick men and then a third one shaded out. If I increase the benefit of that one, it will become 3 men. Decrease the cost means I can reduce the cost of one of the bottom row actions. Now you'll notice that each of those actions has like a cost that's split across 2 levels, a top level and a bottom level. So the mech, for example, has 1 metal at the top level and 3 metal at the bottom level. If I do the upgrade action, I can reduce 1 cost off the bottom level. So I can never upgrade the upgrade square with this player board, because both those 2 oil costs are on the top level. But I can reduce the mech cost 3 times, so it would go down to just the 1 metal. Then mech is pay 4 metal, gain 3 coins, choose a mech and place it on a hex with a worker. Now, all of the mechs have abilities, and these are different for each country that you play. So on the right hand side, you can see mech and character abilities. And there's 4 mechs: Riverwalk, Underpass, Disarm, and Speed. So if I build the Riverwalk, all of my mechs and my character will be able to move across rivers to forest or mountains. If I build Underpass, I can move between any mountain and any tunnel for all my mechs and characters. If I use Disarm, before a combat on a tunnel, an opponent loses 2 power. And if I use Speed, all of my mechs and character gain +1 hex movement. So that's what the mech would do. I'd build a mech, and that would give a bonus to all of my mechs and character. The third ability here is to build. Pay 4 wood to build a structure from my player mat and place it on a non-lake hex with a worker and no other structures. So there are 4 types of structure. On the right hand side here, you can see a mine. That acts as a tunnel that you can use, and you can move units through the tunnel just as any other tunnel. I think I forgot to say that earlier. Tunnels link together as connected spaces. So you could use your mine as a tunnel that only you can use. The monument, whenever you use the bolster action, you will gain 1 heart. The armory, whenever you use the trade action, you'll gain 1 power. And the mill counts as a worker on that territory. So when you use the produce button, for example, you would gain that space as a place to produce resources. So you can see along the top row, there's a little grayed out button next to each of the actions. That's just a reminder of what you've built and what benefit it gives you. Also on that page, you'll notice on the left, you've got a bonus way of scoring scoring coins. The number of farms or tundras with your structures on them. So if you build a structure, any one of those 4 structures on a farm or a tundra, that will give you 2 coins. If you've got 2 structures, it will be 4 coins. If you've got 3 structures, it will be 6 coins. And if you've got all 4 of your structures on farms and tundras, you get 9 coins at the end of the game. Then there's this last one, enlist. Pay 3 food, gain 2 coins, activate an ongoing bonus for any bottom row action, and you will gain that bonus whenever the player either side of you takes the action. So if I did enlist, and I enlisted, say, for example, this furthest one left next to the cogs, the upgrade action, every time I did that action, I would get power. Every time my neighbours did that same thing, I would again gain power. So the enlist is really quite a powerful ability. That will also give you 2 resources once you've played the enlist once. Okay. One more thing with actions. If you get your character to the central square, the factory, you will gain a bonus action column. And you get to choose what that is. And the first to get there will get the most options, and the last to get there will get the least options. Most of the time, they're like a gain a resource or gain popularity and move 2 spaces. Quite a powerful ability, normally, better than what you've already got. One more thing to explain. Objectives. So I said you can gain a star for one of your 2 objectives. So you'll be dealt 2 objectives at the start of a game, and then once you've completed the objective, you'll be able to complete it and gain that star for that objective. You can't complete both objectives. You'll only be able to complete one of them. The exception to that, one of the countries will allow you to do both objectives. So let's just talk about country abilities. So this one, for example, is Saxony. So this particular faction has no limit to the stars from completing objectives and winning combat. So I can earn stars multiple times from winning combat. So that gives me an advantage. and I would play the game knowing that. One more thing maybe to learn is the encounters. So let's just move my little chappy here and move him there. And I'm just going to produce some power just to get through, because remember I said I couldn't use the same action twice. So you notice that one I used last time was grayed out. And then let's move him here this time. Okay. And let's move my other worker there. So when you land on an encounter square, you'll be dealt an encounter card, which gives you 3 options. You can pick any one of the 3. Again, you'll only get to choose one of those 3. And they're all self-explanatory. They'll tell you what they do. And that's it. Now, there is one more thing to explain, which is combat. And actually, the best way to explain that would be to just show you briefly the tutorial, because the time it would take me to get into a combat scenario would be too long. So let's just show you the combat tutorial quickly. Just move him there, there we go, move him there, and there we go. Okay, combat. So combat is two things added together: power and combat cards. So you can spend up to 7 power, in a combat. You can never have more than 7. Now, for example, in this scenario, I've only got 3 power, so I can use 3 power. My opponent can have up to 7. I don't know. He's got a power of 10. Look, top right corner. So he can play all 7. So I've got to play my 3 and then think, right, what might he play? What if he plays a 7? So then I can add a combat card for each mech or character involved in the combat. So you'll notice in this, I moved both my mech and my character into the combat scenario. So I'm going to add a 2, add another 2. That takes me to 7. Let's assuming he's not going to fight. So let's hope he doesn't go for the 7. He played just a 1. So there we go. So his mech is then returned to his home base. It retreats. Any workers retreat as well. However, if you force workers to retreat, say you enter a space with no mech on it, you lose popularity. So you have to weigh up whether it's worth doing that. Sometimes it might be worth doing it just to take some resources off somebody else. So that's one thing I forgot to mention. Resources are placed on the board. They're not given to you, they're on the board. So any tile you control with resources are yours. So maybe I'll just show you that. So let's do a produce. I produce metal here and another man there, and end my turn. Just speed up the AI quickly. There we go. Right. So let's say I decided to move my character and my worker away. I'll be given a little warning. You'll leave your resources unattended. Well, I think I don't want to leave them behind, so I can pressing the metal bar in the corner will add it to my worker. But what happens if I did leave it behind? That resource is no longer mine. So if another player entered that space, the resource becomes theirs to spend. So I can't use that resource on my actions until I have people back on that space. So, briefly, in summary, the aim of the game is to have the most coins. Your coins level will be a combination of your number of stars, the number of territories you control on the board, every 2 resources, the number of actual coins that you own, and where your structures are built, and that will be based on what it says here, what structure is built. The stars will be along here, will tell you which stars you've earned, what stars other players have earned, and this here will tell you what popularity level you are and how much you earn for each of the things. So while you're on level 1, your stars will earn you 3 coins. Once you get to level 3, your stars will earn you 5 coins. Just because you earn 6 stars and end the game does not mean that you're going to win. So that's Scythe. I can't really give you much more when it comes to tactics, because to be quite honest with you, I haven't really clocked this game properly yet. I'm not sure how to win it entirely. I know the basics of the rules and how to go, what I have to do, but I have not yet beaten the computer on easy. So might be a good one to experiment with for us as a group. I look forward to playing it with you.